meeting to order. Trustee Garrison, would you say the invocation and lead us in the pledge?
Lord, thank you for this day. Thank you for this great country we live in. Lord, keep us to keep that in mind as we go forward, to work together and get along. Just be with us on this board. Help us to make decisions that will be pleasing to your will. Be with the students, Lord, in this tough time through the virus. In your name we pray. Amen. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, consideration and approval of the agenda. You have in front of you.
Any motion to approve?
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And consideration and approval of the minutes of the October board meeting.
Move to approve as presented.
I'll second that.
Alright, all those in favor?
Aye.
Alright, and then consideration of the college financial report.
Turn in your board books to the financial section, I think it's on page 7. This is looking at our current fiscal year as of September the 30th, so a quarter of our year, compared to the previous fiscal year at the same time. You can see on this page with our revenues, just slightly ahead on tuition and fees. I think last month we had seen we were a little behind, and that was kind of a timing difference, so you can see that that's evened out now. The student aid is very similar. It has a little bit of timing difference in it. And you can see that federal grants is quite a bit ahead of last fiscal year due to the number of funding sources we've gotten through the CARES Act. On the following page, when looking at our expenses, we've been holding a number of vacant positions, so you can see that's why salaries and benefits is a bit behind previous fiscal year, and then operating expenses just slightly ahead there, but fairly comparable. And then looking on page 9 at our revenues minus expenses, you can see we're just doing just a little bit better than we were at this time last fiscal year, so that's very good news. Following that, then the next 2 pages are just the details of those graphs. Page 12, we look at our preliminary October numbers, which is a third of our fiscal year, looking at revenue or actual versus budget. So as you know, we budgeted for a reduction in enrollment. So in comparison to our actuals versus our budget, our tuition fees is at 70%. This will include, of course, all of our fall registrations, with still, of course, winter, spring, and part of summer to go for the fiscal year. So that's a very good place to be sitting mid-year. Other categories of revenue, fairly typical. Again, with the federal grant revenue, we're moving along in that rather quickly, again, because of the CARES Act. And then on the expenses in the bottom half of that page, kind of using that 33% or 1/3 of the year as a guide. Most of those categories all fit well within that guideline. Scholarships is always a little bit more half and half. This will include the majority of our fall scholarships, so that's why it's just about half there. So then the following page, page 13, of course, is the details, again, that go behind these graphs. Page 14 is the capital budget. This does include the budget amendments that the board approved in last month. So you can see that there's a few additions here for the additional work we've done at CRISP on the paving work and the parking lots and so forth surrounding that kind of bled over into this fiscal year from the building project, as well as the ball field improvements and so the tennis center refurbishment. So you can see those categories even added. Following that, then looking at our cash position, the pie graph on page 17, fairly typical for this time of the year. We're processing federal we have our list of certificates of deposits on page 18 and 19. Page 20, we had no changes in that this month, so there are no new CDs to approve. And then on page 22, we have our bid report. We have two bids in progress, both of which are funded by the enhancement grant from the state, a UTV and a high power water pressure washer system that are no doubt related to the farm.
Hey, so on our CDs, is it just a matter of the folks that still have those CDs with it don't wanna move those to the endowment trust, or?
It's a combination of them not wanting to, them not existing in some cases, or we can't locate, people that are related or something. I know that Michelle Reynolds has worked on that, a number of times and continues to do that, to try to get in touch with relatives and see about transferring them. And some of them have some longer maturities too that we wanna wait, we don't wanna pull them out early and pay
Sure.
penalties, so.
Sure.
Any other questions?
Alright, any further discussion?
I make a motion to accept the financial report as presented.
Second that.
Alright, all those in favor? Alright, on to the president's report, Dr. Payne.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm going to ask that Ms. Cindy White and Sherry Mitchell come forward because we're going to start off talking about the music department's virtual concert. Sing on, play on, music returns.
This was our first effort for a virtual concert. I'm Cindy White and this is Sherry Mitchell. We will have a second concert on November 24th. The first concert consisted of our swing stations, which is our musical theater ensemble, and then Ms. Mitchell's voice students. So that's why she's here, because a majority of that talent we saw was coached by her. We thought we had a very successful event. As of the last time we looked, I believe there were 1.7 thousand views on the Facebook video, which is far more than we would have had in the attendance center. So, we may have started something. We have students who helped quite a bit at the production end. One in particular, he's very artistic and he's also interested in computers. So he jumped in both feet and learned how to use Final Cut Pro in a matter of a week. And we shot everything on my little video camera. That we shot small resources that we used. We shot everything on my little video camera. So I think that was also pretty successful. Hopefully it presented us in a good light, and people will see that and want to come to the Rivers and want to participate in the music program in the future.
I would like to say thanks to everybody that watched that video, because I know some of you did, and I really appreciate Dr. Payne and Melissa Davis. They support the music department students, and they watched it, and they liked it, and I know you watched it too. The kids are thrilled. They are thrilled when people recognize them. They are just thrilled. And this was their first time to get to do anything with their work since last November. So we thought it was important that no matter what, we put something out there for them. It's really about them. They are great kids. They are great kids. And they deserve it.
And having watched it, I think you did an excellent job of setting it up. The two hosts, the student hosts, were absolutely fantastic. They did an extremely good job of personalizing a virtual event. So you really felt like you understood what they had gone through this past semester, and showing the different ways that you have come up with making music instruction possible in this environment. Your ideas were innovative, your processes worked. It was really, really neat to see. Got a lot of great feedback. The production quality was really, really good. So you did it yourself, and it was obviously a student self-production.
It was, very much.
And that gave it emotion, life, and personability. I think it actually made it a better concert
Yes.
because it wasn't totally 100% slick and clean like you had done it in a studio.
Right.
And I think that added something to it that when you first think about it, you don't think about, but when you see it, you go, oh wait, that's really real. That's not, they're not making this up. It's not staged. This is the real deal. And it really came off well.
Well, we'll let those boys know because they wrote all that themselves. They wrote it all, they planned it out, and we just facilitated. It was a student-driven production, as you said.
Several times we hand them the camera, we leave the room, and then we see the end result. And approve it, of course, but it's nice to see them take the
But
lead.
thank you so
Part of the
much.
learning process.
It was a real learning process for all of us, but they learned a lot, and I think they're proud of themselves, and that in the end is really what it's all about.
Very good. Thank you for all you've been doing.
We'll let them know you clapped.
They can watch the video. On November 12th, we held our annual Kennett Trivia Night. It was actually a very well-attended event. It came off well. And the endowment, this is an endowment trust event, and they were able to add $2,000 to the student fund for Kennett, and those funds all go to gap scholarships at the external location where they're held. So those students who, I'm almost there but I don't have money for a book, or I need just a little bit to get me over a crisis, those funds come in very handy. They're very well utilized, and they truly make a difference. Sometimes it's easy to lose sight of the fact that $200 can make the difference between some individual being able to continue their education and having to stop out for a semester. So these events are really important. We really appreciate all of that support. And now I'm going to call up Coach Wiggs. He's going to talk about Deer Day at Hewland Elementary that his team participated in.
Yeah, so every year we go down to Hewland Elementary with Mr. McBroom, and our kids and men's and women's basketball both go down there, read through pre-K all the way through 4th grade. And this year, due to COVID, they were not allowing anybody in their school. So they decided to do a virtual kind of Deer Day, which means drop everything, everybody read. And so we were able to virtually present we had 4 girls. We were going to have 6, but unfortunately we were in quarantine during this time as well. So we had 4 girls read their favorite children's books to Hewland Elementary students as well.
And I think we actually have a video clip.
Yeah, just push the forward button.
Gerald felt so wonderful. His mouth was open wide. I am dancing. Yes, I'm dancing. I am dancing, Gerald cried.
Redbird, Redbird, what do you see?
I see a yellow duck looking at me.
So the first one was Cameron Martin. She is from Centerview, Missouri, which is up around Warrensburg. She's a freshman here. And then that last one's obviously Autumn Dodd. A year ago, Autumn would not have even, I think, walked out there in front of somebody. So for her to volunteer, and this was all volunteer, I asked them, and like I said, have 6 volunteer to do this for the elementary students. It was a pretty cool thing for them to do. Had them all wear their jerseys at the beginning. They introduced themselves, told them that they played for the Lady Raiders, where they were from, and obviously their number. So that way, hopefully, it gets more fans whenever they're allowed.
So this is one of the things that the Lady Raiders basketball team does that's part of our Cutlass program, which is our character development program for our student athletes. One of the S's in Cutlass is for service. This is one of their service projects. Each of the teams have to pick a certain number of service projects that they'll participate in throughout the academic year, with the idea that they hit all of the elements of the program throughout their 2-year experience as student athletes at Three Rivers. So this not only teaches those student athletes the importance of being part of your community and giving back, it builds a base. It means something to these elementary school kids in Cuban. And one of the side effects that I don't think we ever thought about when we first started this, when the Lady Raiders went out and did this the first time, they were instant rock stars with these kids. And it was like, can I have your autograph? And what that started doing was driving attendance, because now it's like, I know that player. Mom, I want to go see them play. And they would bring their parents, of course, because they're in elementary school, can't cry. And it worked in a lot of different ways, but it started and is fundamentally still a service project that helps build the character of our player, give them life skills. There's so many things wrapped up in one. Trustee Hager is a public speaking instructor for years. You can see part of that with this. It's poise, it's comfort, it's learning how to be a member of a community and how to make a community a better place.
And the girls absolutely enjoy it. They always go to recess after they read, and so this year as we were reading, did we get recess now? So we did it before practice. So they were wanting to go to recess after they read before practice. And no, not this year. Not this year. So they enjoy it.
Any questions for Coach Wiggs?
Autumn Dodds is the Neelyville High School director.
Yes.
God bless those Tigers.
Well, okay, thank you, Coach Wiggs.
Autumn's grandmother and I are classmates.
And really the only athletic team that has been able to compete this semester has been the Three Rivers College Rodeo team. They have completed the four fall rodeos, and at the end of that, the men's team stands overall in the region at 6, the women's team at 10. Blaine Maxwell is 5th, and team roping is a header. And where we've really performed the best is in bull riding. Currently, Cole Skinder holds #1 in the region in bull riding. Casey Roberts holds 3rd. David Moss holds 4th, and Blake Fenton holds 5th. So
does David have his own healer, or is it just a random healer?
A different team. So it's one of the few sports where when you do team roping, actually 2 different schools can do it together.
His healer goes to a different school?
Yes.
Wow. So is his healer ranked 5th as well? I'm just guessing it's a healer.
Yes, you are correct that it's a healer, and no.
Move on.
So, you got to catch both ends.
Move on.
Right.
Move on. Please.
So,
please.
So far, it's a good year for rodeo. We have the full spring season to determine whether or not any of our individuals or the team will go to the national finals. But we are standing in pretty good spot to do that. Our partner rodeo team, the Central Methodist team, is ranked in a couple of events, but I wasn't going to cover what they did in particular.
Do we know what rankings you have to get to go to the national final? How high would it be?
Is it the first and second in the region?
I believe it's 1st and 2nd.
In your event.
In your event.
Right, and you can either go as an individual under the cover of the college, or the team can go. So it's a little different setup than any kind of sporting event that any other kind of sporting event.
I'm just real amazed that he's asking rodeo questions.
Right.
That's throwing you completely
Yeah,
off.
it just threw me completely off. Moving to some upcoming events, as Ms. White and Ms. Mitchell talked about, at 7 p.m. on November 21st, we are going to do our next live performance entitled Musical Gifts. And then we will be doing a streaming of our LPN pinning ceremony at 2 p.m. on December 11th. And then at 5 p.m. we will stream the RN pinning ceremony. So those are some upcoming events that are worth watching. They're virtual. You can do it right there from your couch. And then Christmas break, we will be closing the college on December 14th.
We close on the 11th.
We close on the 11th.
Break after.
Then Monday the 14th actually begins the break, and we will return to work on January 4th. So we have till next Tuesday, that ends classes for the semester. After Thanksgiving, we will have finals, but all finals held the week after Thanksgiving will be virtual. Grades due at the end of that week. So we are quickly approaching the end of the instructional calendar and barreling towards the end of the fall semester. And that, Madam Chair, is the President's report, and we do not have any executive.
Actually, we are going to go into executive session at work today.
Okay.
So, we will need to have a vote on that. So is there a motion you want a second? Okay, is there a second?
I'll second.
And roll call votes?
Trustee Hager?
Yes.
Trustee Garrison?
Yes.
Trustee Shock?
Yeah.
Trustee Williams?
Yes.
Trustee Featherston?
Yes.
Trustee Richardson?
Yes. Okay. Then I'm
Oh my
actually gonna have
goodness.
you and Janine and everyone other than the college attorney. Go ahead and leave.
Okay.
Yes, you may. All right, we ready? All right, back in session. So, consideration, discussion, and vote on fiscal year 2020 audit. The audit committee met prior to the meeting to review the audit. I believe everything was wonderful. Does anyone have any questions or discussion on the audit?
We have Charlotte here to present.
Oh, Charlotte, I didn't realize you were back here, I'm sorry. Thank you.
It is a clean, unmodified opinion, both on the financial statements as well as on our federal awards. So that qualifies us as a low-risk auditee for federal, award auditing purposes. So, submit it for your approval.
I move to accept the audit as presented to us.
I'll seek on that.
Motion has been made and seconded. This is roll call vote.
Trustee Hager?
Yes.
Trustee Garrison?
Yes.
Trustee Shock?
Yeah.
Trustee Williams?
Yes.
Trustee Featherston?
Yes.
Trustee Richardson?
Yes. Consideration, discussion, and vote on revisions to policy related to code of ethics.
Yes, so there is edits to the policy on the code of ethics that bring in some specific language regarding workplace violence. This is not an indication that we have a workplace violence issue. It is simply an indication that as federal rules and regulations add and subtract things that the world at large is interested in, we make those adjustments to policies and regulations. So after reviewing the appropriate policies, we made the determination that workplace violence should be tied to the code of ethics. So we've made some relatively minor changes that are covered in the document history, and as an information item, there is a regulation that is new that goes into the definitions federally of what workplace violence is and how we shall deal with that.
Move to Thank you. Move to approve as presented.
I'll second that.
You just washed them out.
All right, roll call.
Trustee Hager?
Yes.
Trustee Garrison?
Yes.
Trustee Shock?
Yes.
Trustee Williams?
Yes.
Trustee Richardson.
Yes. Alright, consideration and approval of all personnel actions and associated documents. Any discussion?
Make a motion to accept them and all the documents as presented.
Second.
Roll call?
Trustee Hager?
Yes.
Trustee Harrison?
Yes.
Trustee Shaw?
Yes.
Trustee Williams?
Yes.
Trustee Featherston?
Yes.
Trustee Richardson?
Yes. Alright, is there a motion to adjourn?
That's what I like to say. I would